Hi guys, I'm Jim from Skinny Jim with the number 9 Blacktops, West Springfield, Illinois Rockabilly band, and I'm here to talk about Fender Amplifiers and Gretsch guitars. And my good friend Michael from Gretsch asked me if I could do a little clip or two about my live setup and a studio setup too. So what we're going to do today, basically I'm going to show you my live rig first and talk about how I get good tones and some good stuff about Gretsch guitars and Fender amps. Guys, my main live guitar is it's a 1996. It's a Gretsch 6120. It's just the standard Nashville model. I've had this one for about 8 years now. It's a pretty good guitar. It has the Gretsch Filtertron pickups. It's got a Bigsby vibrato tailpiece. Pretty good axe. I played it out from Spokane, Washington to Washington, D.C., and it's been pretty reliable. This guitar is a player. It's a tool, so it doesn't matter if I hurt the finish. It's ate up with belt buckle rash. Stickers are peeling off. Got an autograph from Mary Huff from Southern Culture on the skids up on the headstock, but it's a pretty good axe, and I like the feel for it. It doesn't bother me to take it out to a show. We played last night. It's covered in sweat. It's covered in booze. It's usually cleaner than this, but it's a pretty good guitar, and it gets good tone. It's my number one stage guitar. Let me show you another. This is my second live guitar. This is a 2007 Gretsch White Falcon. It's a 6136 model. This is the TV Jones model, which means it has TV Jones Filtertron pickups in it. And TV Jones is a pickup builder who's really well known in the Gretsch industry. He makes a super hot Filtertron, and they're great for live shows. They cut through mixes good. They're super bright, yet they're mellow when you wind down the highs a little bit, or if you turn your master volumes down. I've had a lot of luck playing this White Falcon out. It's been a pretty good guitar. I haven't recorded with it yet. I have yet to make an album since I got it. But so far, I like it. It's a really good Gretsch. It's really has good weight to it. It's almost comparable to a Les Paul in weight. You think you would pick up a hollow body, it would be light, but the Falcon, maybe it's because it's just a bigger body style than a standard 6120, but it's got a good feel on stage. It's a pretty tough guitar. It's been durable so far. Basically, guys, my live rig starts with either the 6120 or the White Falcon. Starting from the beginning, I use Fender medium picks, and I always get white moto. They always say that musicians are obsessive compulsive, and I always have to have a white moto, Fender medium, and when I play, the logo always has to be on my thumb. I don't know why. It doesn't make a difference. I'm just paranoid about it. My main live amp, guys, is a 1970 Silverface Fender Twin. They call it a Silverface because it had a silver faceplate on it. It's a really good amp. It has two 12 speakers. The reason I like the Twins is because it has the features that I like. It has reverb and Fender vibrato. Plenty of volume for anything I do. Just for Rockabilly especially. In a three-piece band, you don't need a lot of the giant half-stack stuff cutting through the mix on a live setup. The Twin does it just perfect. The Twin I use has the original Oxford speakers in it. They've been reconed. I mean, it's 1970 model, so they're not going to last that long. The speakers have been reconed by Tom Weber. It's a great sounding little amp. The only mod that I do to it is I run NOS vintage tubes. I run RCA black plates in the 6L6 positions and Mullards and Telefunkens in the preamp tubes. Guys, when I'm getting a live sound, the first thing I do when I get to the venue with a tube amplifier, turn it on. Leave it on standby, but turn it on. The tubes have to saturate. They have to get warmth in them to get good tone. Sometimes in the studio, I'll leave an amp on as long as 2 or 3 hours before I start recording. Live, we don't have that much time in between shows, so we just get it on. Try to get it on for about 5 or 10 minutes if you can. Let the amp warm up to the room also. It's very important, and it makes them last longer also. The first thing you should do, get a good amp setting without messing with the pedals. Listen to a good mix. We're going to just start from the beginning. So what I do, once the amp's warmed up, we click it off of standby, get your volume setting, and then adjust it. The good thing about Fender amplifiers is they have character. You know, tube amps are going to sound different from room to room. You have to adjust them. That's a good thing. It gives it a little dynamic sound. So find a good mix from the beginning. We don't need a lot of volume to find a good mix. A lot of people want to turn it up loud when they initially try to get a good live sound. Start low. Let your ears adapt to it. And try to use as low reverb as possible, because a lot of times the front of house sound guy will do that for you. I run a little bit of vibrato on my live sound, even if I'm not going to be using it. Just because I'm in a three-piece band, it thickens up the tone a little bit. Usually about 3 on the intensity, maybe 2 or 1 on the speed. Sometimes, you know, if you're doing a surf song or such, you have to crank the vibrato. It's as easy as leaning back and turning it up. Guys, once you have your good basic amp sound, time to move on to the other stuff. First thing I do is if you're using slapback, let's set it up next. Pretty good. You can always adjust it on the fly. Once the slapback is set, about 150 milliseconds. A good way to check it is if we palm mute the guitar. Just a quick pop pop. It's really all you need for rockabilly. Kind of thickens it up a little bit. It's a pretty good tone. It sounds full. With the slapback, a little bit of vibrato on the Fender Twin and the reverb really thickens it up, especially for a 3-piece rockabilly band. It's very important with the 3-piece band. You got to have a lot of dynamics. The Gretsch guitar through a Fender amp does that. It has all the tools I need for a live show. Guys, since 1946, Fender Amplifiers have been being made. They're still viable today because it's a great amp. The new modern amps that Fender uses, like this is a 65 reissue Twin. Basically the same thing as my other Twin, a little bit different features. This is a copy of the old 65 Blackface. And again, has a black plate, hence they call it the Blackface. This is a great amp, 85 watts, it's got 4 6L6 tubes. Fenders come equipped with groove tubes. Great tube, sounds great. I'll use this one out a lot live too. A lot of times for bigger venues I'll use this amp. It's got a little bit more power than my other 70 Silverface. Same features, that great Fender vibrato and reverb. It's a super killer amp, I love it. Guys, my studio rig is a little bit different than my live rig. A lot of times for recording I'll use this guitar. This is a 1960 6120 Gretsch. These are very, very sought after guitars for a reason. The 59, 60, and 61 models were great guitars. Some original Filtertron pickups in there. On this guitar I had to shim the pickup closer to the string. Gives it a little more hotter tone. Kind of makes it more modern for modern rockabilly. Again, the old Gretsch, Bigsby vibrato, great little guitar, really, really killer. At some of our more prestigious live shows, I'll take this guitar out and play it. When we opened up for Chuck Berry, this guitar got played at Blueberry Hill in St. Louis. But a lot of times, for some of the rougher shows that we play, a lot of the smaller venues, I'll stick to the reissues. But it's worth it. It's worth having it out and playing. It's a great sounding guitar. The only difference amp-wise that I use in the studio is I'll use a 76 Fender Twin again, but I use a master volume. In the studio, I don't like to use distortion pedals. I like to get a good natural gain sound. What I do, I usually crank your channel volume all the way, a little bit of master volume. It's that good natural breakup, that tube amp breakup. In the studio, running the Filtertrons through the Fender Twin amp, especially with the master volume, it's great. It's everything I need. I use this amp on the horsepower CD a lot. I also use one of Rick Miller has a 1960 6120 also. A little bit hotter tone than this one, so a lot of recording was done with that for the horsepower CD. But you can hear the same setup on Hotwire off the new CD that we did. But this is a good little amp. It's been pretty reliable too. Tom Wheeler just put out a new book about Fender amps called The Soul of Tone. And Michael and I were discussing what the soul of tone is. And it's a hard question, but it's true. Tone has its soul. Tone is kind of an instrument in itself. When you discuss guitar stuff with friends, especially other guitarists, you talk about tone. What kind of tone are you getting? Or how's that amp sound? Does it have good tone? And, I mean, Gretsch guitars through Fender amps, that's the tone for rockabilly. I mean, if you listen to the Stray Cats or the Reverend Horton Heat or any of the artists on the Gretsch page, you'll find that, yeah, it's a Gretsch through a Fender amp. I'll find myself a lot anymore if I listen to a new song or something on the radio. Before I even pick out the melody, I'll listen to the guitar tones and stuff on it. So everything's different, guys. Like we talked about, every little factor, from pick size, strings, good quality cables, different pedal settings, every little factor is going to adjust your tone. But for what I do, which is the 3-piece rockabilly stuff, it seems like using Gretsch through Fender, it's just the way to go. It's a good setup. Make sure and check us out on SkinnyJimRocks.com and check out Gretsch guitars and Fender amps on their websites. It's a great product. The people will treat you right. Drop them a line. Tell them we said hello.